It's hard to win games when your offense isn't putting up consistent numbers. And it led to this conversation, Zach, where you asked Craig Biggio a question about analytics and overthinking too much at the plate. So let's play this clip from Craig on his thoughts. If analytics are too much and what needs to happen, or maybe we're going to see that shift here in this upcoming year. But Zach, let's play that clip.
Metrics say you're doing wrong. This is what this says it's doing wrong. It's just simply, hey, stay back. You know what you're doing. Stay back. Was that helpful for you? And do you think maybe baseball's gotten a little too much away from that at times?
Well, I think that that's an excellent question. I think the game is starting to circle back to the old school baseball. It's never going to come back because the information is the information. The information is useful whether you're standing on the mound or you're standing in the batter's box. I mean, there's just stuff out there that you can't deny. So, but I think at the end of the day, when it's all said and done, you got to dumb it down. You can't. It's a sensory overload. It's just like, how many different ways can you say something analytically that you could just make your one point and move on? So I think that the game is circling back to a certain degree where it's never going to get back to old school baseball, but I think it's getting back to a little bit like, you have to understand who you are as a hitter and as a player and what you can do and what you can't do. Like, if you have no balls and no strikes and you're a high ball hitter, why are you swinging at a low ball, low and away for no balls and no strikes? You know what I mean? So you have to understand the little intangibles about, like, who am I? What's my makeup? Can I actually drive the ball out of the ballpark the other way? Or am I a hook guy or this or that? But I think that, the game is coming back a little bit to dumbing it down a little bit, because you can just give people and players just too much information and it's still see the ball, hit the ball, catch the ball, and run.
Still see the ball, hit the ball, catch the ball, and run. And he's exactly right that the game still needs to be played in a simplistic manner. And you got to be able to understand what your strengths and weaknesses are. Throw out the analytics side of this. And Zach, this is something that I'm glad. Great question, by the way. Proud of you.
Thank you.
But I think it's important to talk about, because you need to know what makes you a successful player. Now, do we want to work on our weaknesses? Absolutely. But every hitter or any position player that has had success in the big leagues, they recognize their strengths and they use those strengths to their advantage, while they'll slowly work on their weakness. But they're not going to go off of, well, I don't do this right, let me try to make this better. And then if the analytics say I do X, Y, and Z, then that's going to be the better results. No, that's not how this is going to work. Yeah. Al Bunbury, when we talked to him, Orioles legend, Al talked about he couldn't hit a curveball, so what did he do? He didn't look for a curveball. Craig Biggio just said right there, if you're a high ball hitter, Jim Thomey's favorite line from Charlie Manuel, know thyself. I think a lot of the Orioles players need to figure out specifically what works for them. And I think it's all around baseball. Zach, I don't think it's a coincidence. Who's one of the best pure hitters out in LA? You can probably name 2 or 3 with the Dodgers.
Yeah, I was going to say Mookie, Freddie, and Shohei.
And Shohei is the unicorn.
Mm-hmm.
Freddie and Mookie, those guys are older, been around.
Mm-hmm.
And do the analytics probably say that, hey, it looks good? Sure. But when you watch them, you hear them talk about the game, their approach, their mindset, simple. I think with a lot of the Orioles young guys, Zach, I still think it's a challenge. And maybe they can say that's the coaching. They can say, hey, are you getting the wrong information about this? It could be. Did you see Brandon Hyde's quote today, Matt, with the Baltimore Sun, had that tweet? Do you have that handy, or can I pull that up real quickly?
If you pull that up real quick, about just kind of how he doesn't go solely off of
analytics.
Doesn't solely. But I agree, with what Craig said. I think there is such a thing as too much information. Like, I just think, we've talked to so many hitters, some of the greats all the way to prospects. Every single one of them tells you, if you are thinking too much at the plate, you've lost. If you're thinking at the plate, okay, 2-1 count, he's thrown this 33% of the time, he's thrown this, okay, I got to look at, you're done. I feel like there is such a thing as, hey, he likes throwing sliders, to you. That's one thing. okay, he got you out with these last time. That's helpful. But knowing every inch of the strike zone and what pitch he throws to that quadrant at what sometimes it's too much.
Let me pull up this tweet from Matt, by the way. And shout out you, Matt, with the Baltimore Sun. Orioles Brandon Hyde on what those numbers he pays closest attention to when analyzing the offense. And end quote. Because if you're listening on the podcast platform, Spotify and Apple, you're listening, you're not watching. Don't watch and drive. But the quote is definitely not exit velocity. He's not looking at that. Looking at competitiveness of at-bats, the ability to swing at strikes. I don't look at how hard we're hitting balls or anything like that. Think that's great and sexy, but for me, it's not winning baseball. That quote is a very accurate quote. It is not about how hard you can hit a baseball and how far it goes. Yes, of course, if you hit a dinger, the ball is going to have to go a far way. If you square a ball up, it's going to. But we've seen throughout baseball, putting the ball in play with 2 strikes, getting the guy over, having the small ball component, and knowing what your strengths are to have success. You can look around at teams and say, go through the lineups and go, all right, what's your role on the team? What is your role for this offense? Are you a get-on-base guy? Are you a pass-the-torch type of guy? Or are you one of our boppers, our RBI guys? And you look at the teams, and you can say and go, hey, we'll go out the Dodgers because it's the easy example. Ohtani, Betts, Freeman, boppers. Those are your everything guys, and they're superstars, right? Like that is what it is. Look at this Twins team right now. They have a lot of questions, but they go, okay, Byron Buxton, like you are our guy. Larnack, we expect you to do some things, right? But everyone else, it's like, all right, we got to find a way to just pass it along. The Guardians are probably the biggest example. If you can name me more than 5 Guardians starting players, I'll be impressed. The 2 that you're going to think of are Steven Kwan and Jose Ramirez. Yeah. What's Steven Kwan's job? Get on, make something happen. You can have a little pop. Jose Ramirez, cash it in. Get that money. You're our RBI guy.
It actually takes me back to what we were talking to Mark DeRosa a few weeks ago. And he said the best teams that he was on, every single player drove to the stadium every single day and knew what his role on the team was. They did not question, okay, am I hitting against these guys? Am I hitting, where am I playing today? They knew what positions they were going to be in. They knew what their job was. And the expectation for them, he said Bobby Cox would always say, you're not going to raise or lower your expectations of me. You're there to get the job done. At the end of it, we can see how you did. But it's all about those, that's why, honestly, the most impressive at-bats we've seen, I'll say it in the past 2-3 games, have been Maverick Handley. Because the guy came in and found 2 ways to get runs in without having to get a base hit. He knows he's not gunner. He's not going out there going 2 guys on, okay, here we go. I put the ball in the seats. This is a 3-run shot. He's going, how do I get that runner for 3rd in? Because I'm batting 9th. I get that run in, only sacrifice myself. Now we got another runner on 3rd, and the top of the lineup's up. That's where I think the whole roles come really into effect.
Yeah, and the roles are important for teams, but then also simplifying how you do the job. And that's what Craig Biggio was talking about of, I just got to simplify what my approach is. See it, hit it, For guys also, if you do your job and do what you want to do, the results are going to look good. You square a ball up, exit velocity is going to look good. Knowing the situations, you do what you're supposed to do, you're going to win more games. I still love the Terry Francona video, and I'm trying to download it. I laughed really hard when they were telling him, like, oh, hey, your player hit the ball 116 off the bat. And Terry's face was actually priceless. I want to play that for you guys real quickly because I think this is the representation, not only how like everyone kind of feels, but the reality of you just got to get the job done. It doesn't matter how hard it comes off. But let me play that clip for you guys right now. Hold on. There we go.
It's another home run. What have you seen from him at the plate?
He's been very good. When he's covering like right center, when he kind of sets his sights that way, he's quick enough where he can get to the ball in, and he hit that ball really well. He's done a good job.
That ball, by the way, was tied for hardest hit home run of the year, league-wide.
Okay.
Yeah.
And we get one run. That's fine.
I love it.
We get. I love the. Okay.
We get one run.
Yeah.
We get one run. And this is that part that I'm talking about. And I can speak on this. And I haven't really gotten into this conversation, but philosophically, I know in the minors and being there, the thought process is, hey, we're trying to get the ball in the air and we're trying to hit the ball hard. We're trying to do damage, right? And every hitter should want to do that. And that helps you develop players, Zach, physical skills. But once you get to a certain level, the physical skills aren't going to be the things that keep you there. It's going to be the mental side of how do you adapt. What did Terry just say in that explanation of when he knows his guy's going well? Oh, he's thinking right center, and then he's able to react to a fastball in. That's no analytics. That's just knowing how the hitter and what he sees with his eyes, how that player goes out there. That is something I think for some of the guys, not just the Orioles, but league-wide, that type of talk is really beneficial. No stats involved. Because you know what? You do those things right, the analytics are going to take care of themselves.